What was your favorite part for Part B? What part did the group perform especially well? Explain why you liked it. That evaluation, the form that they got this morning for their literature study projects, as what I call an ambitious form for them. And I asked them, however, to key in on the performance. Then your favorite part, and I always have them talk about their favorite part because I want them to look at a piece, think of it in some positive way. So find something positive in that and say what it is. And then, of course, to say how they can improve it. If you think they did it most of the time and forgot some time, you put a 3. If it's 2, they need some improvement, you put a 2. If they hardly did it ever at all, you put a... What projects do for children is teaches us, one, to have dreams, to have ideas, to generate them, and then to make them happen. And that's my job, to help them do that. Teacher's job, or our job as adults in the society, is to teach our children how to live in this world. And that's the other important thing about projects. It teaches you how to get along.
This is my Kachina doll, and it's a friendship Kachina doll. It means like all the friends in the classroom.
This is his self-evaluation in the math journal. He selected the one he thought was his best, according to a list of criteria that the class agreed on, and that I also included things that I thought were important.
Effectively assessing the whole child requires inclusion of parents in the evaluation process. During her teacher-parent-student conferences, Charlotte carefully describes to each parent not only their child's progress, but her classroom assessment methods as well. The goal is to form a partnership around learning, instruction, and assessment.
A parent conference for me is a time where parents and I are sharing information about our mutual concern, the child. It's very important that the child be there. It's important because it's about them. They need to hear what their teacher, has to say to their parent and what their parent has to say to me, and see that working relationship between us, that we were working for their benefit. Am I right, Elias? Because he's a really good thinker. So those tests don't test Elias's ability to think. He's a real problem solver. Like in the first grade. But I find at the conferences, when I show them the work, and that's another way also of explaining my program to them, then they're more likely to support what I do. Because without that support, it's very, very difficult for that child. That child will not make as much progress as another child who has that support from their parents.
Videotaping has been an effective method for evaluating not only student work within Charlotte's classroom, but student progress over extended periods of time.
My videotapes are used, one, to document what I do, and also to show how this assessment assesses what I've taught. And look, this is what kids can do.
Because Charlotte has had the same children for 3 years, videotape has been a key instrument in assessing student long-term learning progress. One of Charlotte's students, Huey, entered Charlotte's class with virtually no English-speaking ability.
No? Why? The first tape I have of Huey is four years ago in kindergarten. She was then a LEP student, limited English-speaking child. She came into that class, I think, understanding some English, speaking none. I couldn't certainly assess her in her own language because I cannot speak her language. So we did a lot of things with literature and acting, drama and songs, all those wonderful oral kind of things with her.
Carrying her milk in a pail on her head. As she went along, she began thinking what she would do
Hui is reading now above grade level on my standardized closed test. She scores about 5th grade. So she's reading above grade level. That's not a problem. The performance assessments, what they allow a teacher to do is to hone in on what a child's strengths are and what they need to learn.
Just as Piaget studied his own children and changed our knowledge of how children learn, Charlotte evaluates her own students and enhances her understanding of student learning and assessment. She has become an ardent believer in teachers as researchers.
Research is having a question. For a teacher, many questions, because I care about everything. I care about reading, writing, math, science, social studies, how the relationship with other kids, how they feel about themselves, the relationship with their parents. I care about everything, so I have all those questions going all at once. What do I learn from research? I learn a way of thinking. I learn a discipline, a rigorous discipline, where I have to systematically record what has happened, what I do, and the response of the children. So what research does is it helps me grow. It makes my teaching vibrant, and I hope for my children also. Oh, no, wait a minute. When I say standards, what do you think of?
In the final analysis, effectively assessing the whole child requires multiple evaluation methods, a deep commitment from teachers to constantly observe and ask questions about students' progress, and a vision of how we can discover what it is that our children can and should be able to do.
A tribe of Indians in the Brazilian forest regarded their forest as their teacher and something to explore. So they organized themselves in groups, like little clusters of maybe 4 or 5, and went out singly. And then they would come back and meet at the end of the day, and they share their knowledge. And they reported maybe the break of a twig in a river. And they knew their forest so well that that break in the river, that little twig and the way it broke, could tell them if it was time to arm. This classroom is my forest. If we knew our children as well as those Indians knew their forest, then it would be a rare event where we couldn't teach a child. And that's the vision that I hold. And there's so much to learn, and so much to know, and so much to absorb, to observe, to record, and share. And we haven't done that yet. And that's my vision.